Hey, everybody, this is Peter Hernandez, and this is The Core Truth. And today I have such a super cool guest, Kelly Bensimon. Kelly, welcome to The Core Truth, all the way from New York. How are you?
Sorry. Oh my God, Peter, I love you. Sorry, my daughter's texting me.
That's
Um,
okay.
I know that's actually funny because that's, I think, the core truth of this business is really understanding how to balance all these different buckets, whether it's personal, whether it's professional. There's so many different aspects of real estate, and you really have to be good at balancing. So I'm glad that she called because that was a great opportunity for me. So
There she is again.
there it is again. We'll just go through it.
Right.
So I think some of the things, there's a lot to talk about with you. You and I are very, very similar beasts because one of the reasons that we do well in real estate is because we know our audience. And what does that mean? Knowing your audience means knowing how to communicate with your buyer, with your seller, knowing what they're looking for, what their wants are, what their needs are, but really listening to what they're saying. I just sold a property in New York City after taking it off the market and putting it back on at a higher price because my client, my seller, he wanted a higher price. And so I was like, you know what? Let's give this listing a little pause and we'll put it back on and I'll remarket it, take new photos, give it a different kind of love, and let's see what happens.
Now, you
And
raised the
so
price when you brought it back on. You actually raised it.
I raised the price. Yeah.
Okay.
It was on originally at 4,995, and then I just put it back on for 5,495. And
Love that
so
strategy.
so
Totally bold. Totally bold.
that's very me. That's very me.
Yeah.
So just listening to your clients is really, really important. And I think what happens in real estate is that, you know, we see a lot of the smoke and mirrors from all these different reality shows. But if you want to be successful in real estate, you have to speak to people who have been successful in real estate, like your sales director, like people who run your offices, like Peter Hernandez, because they're the ones who know the business. And by the way, things may come and go, trends may come and go, but the inherent narrative of people always stays the same. And so you just, it's never going to change. So whether the market is up, whether the market is down, people are always going to be people, and they're always going to react and respond in the same way. So
That's so funny.
definitely,
Stop me for a sec, because what you're saying is so much the truth. And I'll tell you why. So many agents kind of work with their clients from the opposite side of the table. What you're talking about is getting on the same side of the table with them and being their partner, not being an advocate. I mean, not being like in battle with them in somehow, but
adversary.
actually partnering adversary.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say we're on the same team. What do you want to do? How do you want to do this? Let's get it done. That's what I always
Yeah.
say to all my clients. And then, just we were talking about, ultra high net worth, and people are like, well, I want to work. I want to sell over $3 million. I want to sell $5 million. That's my brand is $3 to $5 million. I'm like, congratulations. That's really nice that you have a $3 to $5 million brand, but that's not the truth in real estate. Real estate is everything. It's the bread and butter. It's the rentals, and then it's the motherships that may or may not happen, every once in a while. So you have to really be able to like manage your own expectations and your own business because not everyone can work in the ultra high net worth space, and there's one reason why. And the reason why it's very difficult to work in that space is because a lot of people who work in real estate are so obsessed with the art of the deal that they forget who they're dealing with. And so
Mm.
if you're dealing with ultra high net worth, they are typically very, very, they have a different acumen when it comes to business, and they know what they want and how they want. So instead of, I think one of the biggest problems with working with ultra high net worth is brokers are like, well, I'm going to tell them. Well, That's not how that works. In ultra high net worth, they tell you. They say, this is what I want, this is how I want to do it. And then you go off and you do that. You report for duty and you get it done. So I think that, that's one of the biggest, there's two downfalls in real estate is that people are too big for their britches and they feel like everything's a hot pink dress and big boobs. And that's how you sell real estate. That's not how you sell real estate. And the other thing is thinking that they're going to be selling the biggest and the best and the bright and shiny. Well, why don't you just focus on what you're good at?
Mm,
It's like in surfing. What do you tell them? Do you
yeah,
say like, oh, go to Hawaii and pretend you're Laird Hamilton, or do you say, start here on the sand in the board. Let's
right.
get this mastered, and then we start building up.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry to bring in the surfing analogy, but
No,
I
no,
had
I love that
to.
analogy. I love it, because you
I
got to
had
start at
to.
San Onofre before you hit Pipeline. No question about it.
100% pipeline. Okay, here we go with the
Yeah.
big words.
There you
Pipeline.
go,
Pipeline.
throwing it at you. Well, look at the big words. I mean, from runway, fashion, modeling, celebrity to luxury sales and real estate. Why, how? Tell us about that.
I think that there is a misconception on how I transact. I think people just think like, oh, she's famous. She was a model. People just want to be around her. That's not true. I'm highly educated. I have an MBA. I went to Columbia. I am also very, very well known in the publishing space. I started two magazines, Elle Accessories. I started Gotham Magazine. I've worked for Anna Wintour on an amazing book for the Costume Institute at the Met. I know one thing that I know is I know how to listen to people in the position of power. And what does that mean? Does that mean that I'm so great? Oh, I have all these degrees. I'm licensed in 3 states. Who cares? The reason that I'm successful versus someone else is because I listen to my clients. Period. End of story. That's it. There's no TV show. There's no nothing. Is that when they tell me what to do, I if I don't know the answer, I know a lawyer that can help me find the answer. If I don't know the answer, I know a sales manager who knows the answer. If I don't know the answer, I know, that I have a friend in the business who I can say, hey, I need your help on this. Can we talk through this? So I have, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people in my neighborhood are the people that I work with every single day. And that's why I'm successful. And so all this other stuff is fun. It's just like you're a surfer, I'm a model, I'm a writer, you're a businessman. We all wear many, many hats. But when you're talking about real estate, you really have to focus on the task at hand. So a lot of people
Yeah,
are like, well, I'm so good at aesthetics, so I'm going to be great in real estate. Mm-mm. Real estate is a transaction business. You can sit there and talk about aesthetics all day long. You can sit here, you and I can talk about Tony Duquette and, all these amazing interiors and architects all day long. And that's beautiful. But at the end of the day, you are in a
exactly.
transaction business.
Yeah. Well, you talk a lot about authenticity and brand, and you really are coming from a place of service, obviously. You really cater to your clients, and yet you have this huge brand. You have this, I mean, you're everywhere. I mean, you're everywhere. And so like how does an agent build a personal brand like that? And what is your thought on branding? And then how do you shift from that into being a service too? Because it's sort of contradictory in some sense. Because you're not the star from what you're saying, yet if I look at your persona, you are the star. It's a very interesting juxtaposition.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Peter. Wow, you're making me feel gorgeous.
Well, you are.
Um, so personal brand, I feel like it's just a big word. It's personal brand storytelling, they're just big words that people are using, the buzzwords today, that people are saying, which is kind of like they're trying to hop on a train. Don't hop on a train. If you don't want to write a newsletter every week about the things that you see, write what you know to your mine your own database with information that you actually know. Hey, I live in Soho. Here's 3 new things that I saw this week that I would love to show you. the median rent in New York changed to 4,500. I want you guys to, to know that information. Send out information. It doesn't have to be your narrative. It doesn't have to be, hey, I like blue this week. No one cares. All they care about are the actual facts that's going to affect their actual bottom line and their
Mhm.
transaction, whether that's how they're going to sell something or how they're going to buy something. If you want to
Mhm.
package it in some other way because you want to, you can. But I feel like real estate brokers really need to get back to basics and focus on the
Yeah.
transaction and not so much how to be the next $1 million listing. Because it's like those are few and far between. And you have to have a certain personality to be on a TV show. But to transact, you just have to know, 1 + 1 = 2.
Mhm. So going from modeling
Peter's like,
to well, no, but what's fascinating to
it's
me is like
simple. It's simple. It's simple.
here's what's fascinating to me. You broke through a glass ceiling, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. I mean, lawyers have tried to get into our business, people from all kinds of different professions, they look at our business, they go, God, it's glamorous, we can make a lot of money. But they really have a hard time. Like, why would I work with this lawyer instead of a top real estate agent? Why would I work with a model instead of a top real estate agent? You know what I mean? How did you shattered that ceiling? Like nobody questioned you coming in. Granted, you're like super smart. You've got all the degrees in the world, but you still had to convince them that you were the person for the job. How did you do it?
Because I showed my clients the best of the best. In the first week that I was at Douglas Elliman, I brought in $15 million, 7 on the
No.
buy side, 8 on the sale side, because I mine my database. I
Yeah.
mine my database and I put A with B. I'm like, oh, I know that he's looking for a cool apartment. That's a cool apartment. We're going to lunch. Let's go check it out. And you know what? It doesn't always have to be a specific showing. You can
Mhm.
actually just take people around, your friends around, and show them things because it's about word of mouth too. Hey, I just saw this great apartment with Kelly. Oh, you did? Where was it? Oh, it was on the west side. Have you seen it? No, I haven't seen it. Everybody wants to be in the know. So why don't you bring them in the know? Tell them, teach them. And
Mhm.
I really appreciate about the glass ceiling. I think that it's also the way that I deal with people. So, I understand social media. I understand that Instagram is, a carousel of storytelling. I understand that TikTok is quippy, fun sound bites. I understand that YouTube is a longer platform. I understand how to manipulate social media because I was in the media business for so long. So I understand all of that.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. The reason that I became so successful so quickly is because I knew how to mine my database and I also knew how to put A with B. That's how
Yeah.
that's that's how it happened. And
So
so
your
then all of a
storytelling,
sudden,
your
it takes one
storytelling.
thing. It takes one
Okay.
deal, Peter. You know that more than anybody. It takes
Yeah.
one deal to gain credibility. It takes one deal to lose credibility.
Then how do you leverage it? Because you leveraged it, and I think you leveraged it through both media and storytelling.
Because I layer it. It's a layer cake. I say, like I just at the top of the hour, I said, oh, I was just at Bottle Rock with my new podcast at iHeartRadio, and I was at this gorgeous, gorgeous compound in Sonoma. And then we went to Bottle Rock where it was so gorgeous. I'm talking you through a lifestyle. I'm not talking
Mhm.
you through my personal brand.
Mhm.
I'm telling you about an experience. I'm not telling a story. I am
Mhm.
telling you a direct, specific experience where
Mhm.
I experienced a beautiful home, a beautiful environment, and I was also doing something with work.
Mhm.
So you're like, oh my God, Bottle Rock, that sounds great. I want to go there. Oh yeah, it was amazing. The wine was so cool. The vibe was so cool. And then we were at this incredible home. It was like a compound. They had tennis, they had swimming pool, they had golf, they had all these things. They had a vineyard. That is how that's not storytelling. That's experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. New York City, man. When I go to New York City, it is over. I'm a California boy. Let's be honest. I live in
You
Malibu. Like, there's like
are.
10,000 people living here. New York, there's 10,000 on a block of sidewalk. So, man, navigating that market is like brutal. I mean, you have to be a flashing billboard to even possibly get noticed.
Well,
Wow.
California, Florida, working on my license in Texas, the Hamptons, New York, they're all different, but it's all the same. It's all the same kind of people looking for the same kinds of things.
Yeah.
And, again, I think that my biggest advice to anyone that's getting into real estate is pare it down. Dress well, know the comp. If you're going to take your clients out, know the comps and casually talk about the comps. Bring a cheat sheet if you want. Hey, you know what? This is really interesting. I really like the rentals here in this building. They're 13,000, and down the street they're X amount for this. So this could be a really good deal, and maybe rentals are a good possibility for right now because politically we're in a situation right now where we're kind of like at like a little bit of a confusion state. The interest rates are still really high. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do know that the interest rates are X. Just have information and that you can talk about casually, that doesn't make people sound like you're telling them, but
Right.
that you're talking about it just in a conversation.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
always have a cheat sheet. Always have a cheat sheet. This is where we are. Maybe it's not even about the price per square foot. Maybe it's just about the vibe. I always think whenever I go on a showing, or when I always think, who are the people in your neighborhood? Back to Sesame Street. Like, where are you eating? Where are you exercising? Where's your train? Where's your parking?
Yeah.
Where's your food? Like, and I talk through that when I'm doing the showing. I say, oh my God, there's a new restaurant down the corner. Have you guys tried this coffee shop? So then all of a sudden, my clients, whether I'm showing the apartment or whether I'm looking at the apartment, my client isn't on its back foot. They're like, oh yeah, oh my God, I definitely, we're talking about it together. I just think it's just experience, showing experience, and telling people about your
Yeah.
experiences, and really telling them where they're going to be and what their lifestyle is going to look like.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of a concierge. You're kind of an ambassador. You're kind
Yeah.
of a tour guide. And you're also a professional negotiator. Which brings me to this,
Mhm.
I think I'd be reluctant not to bring this up. I mean, the market's been a little bumpy. It's been a little turbulent. And
Mhm.
how do you deal with bumpy markets and turbulent markets and navigate through that and keep your clients focused and on track? Because we know these things come and go and they pass. And if there's a good buyer or there's a good buyer, they've got to act and they can't be questioning everything. So how do you work through these conversations?
So, the good news, I'm the broker specialist of one of the most illustrious buildings in New York City, 240 Center Street. And so that really, really helps me too, because it gives me a placeholder. So where
Mhm.
other people are like, I'm selling a co-op, I'm selling this, whatever, that's great for you. But I am selling the most difficult, selling and renting one of the most difficult properties in the city, next to 740, the Beresford, the Dakota. There's a handful of us. Um, so that really separates me too, because I'm already at a different level with how I'm doing things. And so I told my clients the other day, they were like, what should we do with the market? And I said, you know what, let's put it up for rent. They're like, what do you think? I'm like, 15,000, 17.5. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, let's just see. Well, what are the comps? I don't care. This is the police building. This is the most illustrious building in New York City. If you're telling me the rental market's high, then let me put the prices up and see what I can get. I can always negotiate down, but I can't negotiate back up if it's on the market.
Right.
So, and then my biggest saying is putting money in people's pocket. That's my
Mm.
biggest thing. I always say that to my clients. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to put some money in your pocket. I'm going to
That's
put
why you're so
$20,000 a
popular.
month. Mhm. I'm going to put money in your pocket. Imagine if you're talking to someone who has an apartment, or who has an asset. And real estate is one of the biggest asset classes. And they say, and they have a broker that says, I'm going to put some money in your pocket. You know what that means? That means ding, 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 ding.
Yep. It does. The cash register
What
is
would you
going
rather?
crazy.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have someone say, I'm going to put some money in your pocket, or let me just see what the market's going to be like for a while. I'm just going to like hang out and watch and see if I can get a showing for in the next
Right.
2 weeks, and I'm just going to put it on Street Easy and just see where we are, or
Yeah.
I'm going to put some money in your pocket.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. I know you're super busy and I want to be respectful of your time.
No,
Last thing.
I love you.
Oh, you want to keep growing? I got so much we could talk about, but I know you're busy. Um, so work-life
I mean,
crossover.
there's so much. The
I
biggest
mean,
takeaway from this
mom, you're a
conversation for
mom,
me,
you're an author, you're like a flippin' top real estate broker. You have more energy than me, and I think I have a lot. I mean, I know I have a lot, and you run circles around me. So what I mean, talk about how you,
I
I
do
don't know.
not. The biggest that's not true. You sold your business to Douglas Elliman. I did not. Here's the biggest takeaway for me. Know your core truth. What does that mean? Know your narrative, know your experiences, tell people your experiences, and know exactly who you are. And if you don't know the answer to the test, ask someone who can help you. Don't ever put yourself in a position where you are thinking you know something. Always know the answers to the test. And that's all I have.
All right, great. Well, Kelly, really fun spending some time with you. I know you've got a ton of appointments waiting for you. Crush, 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 crush. And when are you coming to Malibu again so I can say hi and grab lunch?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. I love you. I'm thinking of everyone in California. I know that you guys have been through a lot, Peter, and I have a lot of empathy. I'm really, really excited to see you guys soon. I've been in San Francisco a lot, so I've been there. A lot of my clients are there too. But people are trying to call me everywhere, but I hope to see you very,
All
very soon.
right. All right, Kelly. Thank you for being with us. And this is another core truth. Peter Hernandez, your host. Bye.